I think I was 4 to 5 at the time, and I had this neighbor, but I can't give his name. His niece was my playmate, and she'll come to my house. I'll go to her house. We always play after school. Like, we just always played with each other, girls who always played with each other. So I remember this day I got back from school, and I go to my neighbor's house, and I knocked the door and I asked for his niece, and he was like, "Oh, she's inside. Why don't you come inside, and wait for her?" I'm like, "Okay, no problem." I go inside. He gives me a bunch of toys. I'm playing with toys. I'm oblivious to like what's about to happen, and I think part of me was like, I don't think maybe she went to get something. Maybe. The next thing I remember is that he takes me to the room, and he pushes me on the bed, and he uses his penis, like he tries to press his penis on my body, but I was still with clothes on. I know I felt very, very uncomfortable when he was doing it. So I remember him pressing his penis against me, and the next I knew, he took off the trousers I was wearing, and there was no penetration yet. He just pressed it against me, and he was moving up and down, and he was making some kind of noise, and I was so uncomfortable. I felt like crying, and he covered my mouth, and he kept on doing that, and then he took me to the sitting room, and he turned me so my butt was facing him, and then he tried to penetrate me, and it was the most painful thing that happened. And my mouth was closed. Then my saving grace was when there was a knock on the door, and immediately he dressed me up very hurriedly, like very fast. It was members of his church that came for prayers and stuff like that, and then I left the house, and that was it. At that age, one reason why I was not able to tell anybody about what happened was the fact that this same man tried the exact same thing with my sister, and when he tried it, people gave the excuse of, "Oh, he doesn't have children yet and he's depressed." So I think at that young age I understood that society would make excuses for predators, especially if they're men. And I think I grew up with that, knowing that if I should ever speak up about something that has to do with like sexual harassment or stuff like that, that I would not be believed. Okay, like there was always sentiment and excuses that could be made for rapists and assaulters and just predators that are men. And knowing that you don't live in a society that protects you, you don't live in a culture, you're not from a culture that protects you or is there for you. I think that is something I've carried all through my life, even to this day. Elderly men, I always just saw them badly. I think that is another reason why I don't just trust men with children, and I don't even care if it's the guy that fathered the child. I don't just trust men with children. That was like my first eye-opening experience about the gender disparity and just how how it is. As a child, it kind of clicked, because as a child, you, like I said before, you're oblivious. You don't necessarily know what's happening. You're just there, play, eat, go to school, come back, just the usual, the routine. And that kind of life changing thing changes the trajectory your life is going to take. So I saw this guy over and over again, and just see him. He was free, nothing, no repercussions whatsoever. It does something to you. It tells you that you can't speak up. How many times guys have assaulted me, and I tell myself, if as a child people could make excuses for a man that harassed and assaulted a child, imagine you, an adult woman. It's going to be so much worse. So I think that's like the impact it had, my view on society. And I said, because of the experience I had, I just cannot, I don't like seeing men with children. But I think it made me more emotional and more sentimental when it came to the subject of rape or assault. Growing up in this society, we are trained to always blame women in certain situations, in all situations. But I think being a child and knowing that there is no way whatsoever that I played a role in what that man did to me. I remember watching a movie, just a movie, that had to do with abuse, and I started crying, and I was crying because I remembered it was a trigger for me. Like anytime I see any story about abuse, it triggers me, it takes me back there, knowing what I went through. I would not wish that on anybody, not any adult, male or female, because men to get assaulted too. So I would not wish that on any man or any woman, but imagine a child. So that really triggers me. Like this we're doing right now, it's a trigger for me too. It takes me back there. We don't have organizations that, like, we know that, oh, okay, this is an organization that I could go to if I ever face sexual assault, if I ever face any kind of harassment. We don't even know of any, right? So I think, first of all, these organizations have to be present. That is a life changing experience. It changes you. It changes how you view yourself, how you view the world. So I think what professionals can do is therapy. I think it's try to make the person, the victim, understand that it is not your fault, because you tend to, the first thing you do is you blame yourself. That is always the first thing you do. You blame yourself. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. And we also live in a society that is there to blame you, that is there to tell you that you played a massive role in the outcome of things. So I think that if we also educate the people around us, knowing that you don't blame a victim, all right, there is no way possible a woman could have done anything to trigger a man or to make a man rape her. I feel if people knew that, they would be more kind to victims. And then I think that even if you're going through the whole self-blaming process, and then you have people that are to support you and tell you it's not your fault, of course, I think with time you can change how you view yourself. So first of all, we need to have these professionals present. We need to have them in society. Like right now, to be very sincere, if I should come across any victim of sexual assault, if a girl gets assaulted in front of me, I don't know who to call. So we need to have those people present in the first place, and then we can need to have them talk to the victim about, you don't have to blame yourself. Okay, this happened to you, it's not your fault. This is how you go through life, all right? This will change your perception of life, but this don't have to change. Not everybody's, but there's so many things that they could do therapy wise. You need to be able to talk to the person and make the person understand that you did not play a role in this, and your life doesn't have to be haphazard because of this experience. I wish there was a better support system. Like I said, I think that if we had safe spaces, we see in advanced countries, or more advanced countries, we see safe spaces that they create for different victims of different kind of abuse. Like we have the Alcoholics Anonymous for recovering alcoholics, that you can go as an alcoholic and you can not feel judged or feel put down for what you're going through. I feel like if that was present, and as like I knew that, okay, I've just been assaulted, I could just go to this place and I could be around other people that have been through what I've been through, and I can open up and not feel judged and not feel blamed, and I know that these people are there to support me. I feel if that was there, it used to really dumb down the effects of what I went through. And I think for other people too, you have a strong system to support you. Oh, that could do so much. We know what support can do, encouragement can do. That could do so much. Okay, so I think that is why we need to create these safe spaces. It should be very available. You need to go somewhere and they make you feel, you know what, you did not do this. This is not your fault. Okay, you did not play any role, regardless what society might tell you, what other people might tell you. You did not play any role in this whatsoever. And somewhere that can just make you feel, you can just feel that comfort of having people that have gone through what you've been through, and they're there with you every step of the way. That can really, really help.